So welcome everyone. This is the next episode of the Hacking Health live show. My name is Matt. I'm your host tonight. And I'm the founder of Biohacking 101, which is an innovative health and communications agency operating out of Munich. We made it our mission to bring you the best experts, tools, and hacks out of the functional medicine, biohacking, and health optimization sphere. And we are here to accelerate optimal health in the world. So tonight, I'm very honored. I have Thomas Olivier here, the founder of Omnosme. Thomas is a serial founder in the healthcare sector. He's the author of Cracking Your Health Code. You're already into epigenetics, nutrigenomics since over 15 years. You were one of the first guys in the UK applying all of this amazing technology to optimize athletes' health. And you're as well an avid biohacker. You're very, very passionate about functional medicine, and you're a new father to a son. How old is your son now?
He's 22 months.
22 months.
Almost 2 years.
So that was my short intro into your work, Thomas. First question for you is, where do you get your purpose and drive from?
Where I get it from? I think it's being inspired all the time about hearing stories of people trying to find ways of better their health and not really succeeded straightforward in an easy way. And I think we all been affected by it, whether it is ourselves or directly within our bodies, or indirectly with families, members, or friends even. So yeah, I think there's different things. The passion for doing what I do is, I'm a sort of human type of person, in the sense that I like helping people, and I've always been doing these sort of things that used to be sports science as a background, so conditioning athletes and all these sort of things brought me slowly but surely into the world of functional medicine and integrative medicine and really trying to creep up the numbers in terms of how many people I can help, and trying obviously to, with other people, like-minded people in our network, really try to create things that could change lives of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And your latest work of art is Omnosme. You're just in the launch period right now. So tell us a bit more about how that is going.
Well, Omnosme is amazing because it's something I wanted to achieve for a very long time. I have to say it's the combined work of great minds, and it's not only mine. My background before this, I had a company called GenSmart, and we were really looking into the genetic aspect of things. Again, trying to upload DNA data and then give insight on what to do in terms of little life hacks that we were calling mini habits, on optimizing your nutrition based on certain deficiencies that you were predisposed to, or all this sort of thing. But I always wanted to link the tests that I was already using, so tests that are more functional medicine tests, to have a lot more of an integrative approach, because as we know, the DNA is not the whole picture, and also it's not because you have the genotype, you're necessarily going to have the phenotype, and that works on both ways. Whether you are predisposed to something, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to develop it, but the other way around as well is very true. So we need to see where the imbalance is and actually take the two, with also understanding who you are as a person with a self-assessment, to potentially highlight all those things, bundle everything together, connect the dots, and then tell you what you need to do about it. And this is where Omnosme was born, but it was when I met my co-founder, and we met in a funny way because he was doing one part of the thing I wanted to achieve, I was doing the other part. and I always remember how we met because we had a meeting, and the person who arranged the meeting, I said, yes, but this is bang on due date of my baby, you know, we never know. And he was coming from Scotland, and the person who introduced us was coming from Copenhagen, and we met in central London. But I arrived an hour late, but I had a really good excuse because my son was born a few hours before. So I arrived completely hyper, and I didn't want to miss the meeting, and at the same time I wanted to spend the whole night with my son, just looking at this new world, you know, being mind blown by the whole thing. Haven't slept at all, and yeah, I think I had the best excuse ever. But anyway, despite and thanks
I want to say something to this, Thomas. I have the feeling that when men become fathers, some really exceptional things can happen.
I think so. You know, we have this expression. I don't know, it's, you know, one of those things you don't really understand in life how it works, but, you know, one of those natural laws that are hidden, but it's not because they are hidden, they're not there, right? And yes, I think a lot of things can change, a lot of things can put, you know, as long as you have the good intention, I guess, you know, there's things around, good energy goes through. And yeah, anyway, so that was the amazing experience. And we clicked together in the sense that we had exactly the same vision, and we have, you know, any one of us had the piece of the puzzle, so we just to connect the dots again together. And this is where we merged the company and we created Omnos. And I think Omnos is something great because it's really something about democratizing the science behind health, and really as an intelligent health system, to enable people to optimize, but through the knowledge, through planning and prevention, and you know, in a very simple and enjoyable way to do it. And yeah, I mean, it took a very long time to do that. As you said earlier, yes, 15 years ago, I was already having test tube in my backpack about 13 people's saliva sample. And at the time, you know, I had a backpack going to the post office. It was very funny. Obviously now all this is not possible. Anyway, and it was totally different as well. And the price tag was also very different.
Yes, it seems to be that the access to these types of tests are getting easier and easier. Like the barrier to entry is getting lower and lower and lower.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And this is why it's a great time, because we are at the convergence of, on one side, you've got the technology of, you know, the mobile we use, everything's going faster and faster. So the access to the information is very easy. And at the same time, we have also the convergence of the fact that people are starting this cultural awakening of like, I need to take control of my health, because yes, there's an amazing system to take care of me if I break down, if I, you know, need acute care, and that we understand from our, you know, from what's happening right now with the COVID-19, for example. However, when it comes to multifactorial diseases that are potentially preventable by changing your lifestyle, your diet, and your environment, you know, all these are a bit more complex, and that you need to be responsible, you need to be informed, so you can plan and prevent those things to happen. But you also need to have the reassurance of what you are doing is the right thing. And this is for that reason, it needs to be scientifically validated, it needs to be decentralized, meaning that you get this on the platform, for example, like Omnos, but also you get the whole science of, the whole validated science of test result that gives you, that are almost medical, but now access to the comfort of your home. So this is where we talk about democratization, which is very important. And I think because we have those 2 points, the democratization and decentralization, I think really slowly the legislation will start to change around this, and maybe, you know, things will speed up even faster to really reach a bigger audience.
Fantastic. Thomas, who were your mentors in your work? Like, who were the scientists or doctors that inspired you on your path?
Many. It's hard to it's hard to give a name, to be honest. I had business mentors, like my, first investors. Now I have other mentors. I have more mentors when it comes to, the work. I had, the first people who I got intrigued. I'm thinking about Mariette Abrahams, who is in our advisory board. I was bothering her already a decade ago about, okay, what do you do with genetic? Well, it's too early. It's too early. It's like, no, let's do things now. And she was one of the first to as well use that, within the NHS and change a few things. And so yeah, I think I had many mentors to just say one person, and I'm very grateful about that to have had the chance to have many people that helped me in that journey of learning constantly. Still now, there's always a case to learn, and it's very exciting.
Fantastic. Do you have any tips for people who are listening into how to build your mentor network if you want to do some great things and you want to learn from really bright and sharp people?
Reach out, reach out to them, but reach out in a good way, in an intelligent way, and so you can engage them in what you do, and be ready to have a lot of no, or even like people ignoring you completely, because they're also very busy people and they have families, they have businesses, they have things. So yeah, I would say reach out, and also be open to talk to everybody about what you do, because you don't know who you talk to when you go to a restaurant or something, and oh well, actually I do this, and I'm a researcher in this. Oh really? So and yeah, I think
This
it's
is a
about
great
reaching
point.
out and being open. I was very introvert before, and I learned not to be, and I think it's a good quality to become a bit extrovert. When it comes to building a network, and especially if you're in business, or if you want to if you have the mission of the vision of helping many people, you cannot do that if you stay just in front of your computer not reaching anybody, right? So yeah.
Thomas, is there anything closely similar to Omnos right now in the marketplace of personalized diagnostics?
I think there is a lot of options out there, definitely, and they're all very good, obviously, and you can have things that are when it comes to genetic, for example, you probably have hundreds of them now. But you input your data, and as an output, you get validated recommendation linked to science. So this is amazing. And the same when it comes to certain functional tests. But the only thing that I've seen is when it comes to cross-referencing a few things, or to connect all the dots between all those different data points. So if you look at, I don't know, genotyping that we do, there's more than 700,000 genes. And things like, across all the different tests we do, there's more than 1,000 biomarkers. I think the real work for Omnos in terms of trying to differentiate ourselves was to create this intelligent system that nothing works in isolation. And I think that's a big difference. And to date, I know there's nothing like it out there. There's nothing that can just connect the dots between everything. And as soon as you input some data into it, so let's say, I don't know, you do something stupid, you do an element test, which looks at your ratios, your deficiencies, nutritional deficiencies. And if you, let's say, low in iron because you have a toxic ratio of mercury being too high and you deplete your iron, something like that. Well, then the normal thing to think is, well, you need more iron. But actually, the platform doesn't do that. But why? And then you look at it deeper, and you realize, well, because within your microbiome, test, you have some pathogens, and that those pathogens are feeding on iron. And actually, because you have leaky gut, because you have brain fog as symptoms from your self-assessment, you have joint pain, you're losing hair. All those things are actually a lot more important, because you're actually sort of our platform sort of work it out. You're actually pre-condition of immune disease here if you are not already. So this is where it's the most important things to you for you now is one of the things that will drive you even deeper down the slope is to fix your leaky gut. So you want to get rid of this pathogen. You want to so iron is not something for you right now. Maybe later. So these sort of things I think are very powerful within Omnos. And again, it's all those connecting all those health data on top of that with potentially later all the wearable you can wear to really have a really good picture of who you are, what you can do about it in real time even, and having all centralized, within a simple and secure platform.
So when I looked at it today, I mean, it's so brilliant to see that you guys are serving with this technology. You're serving the functional medicine space. You're serving like the biohackers dream up, yes. And at the same time, I think the great part of the vision is that it's a wonderful tool for people with chronic diseases to work together with their functional medicine doctors and health coaches. So could you talk a little bit more about your vision for it? What is the benefit for doctors and patients, for example?
Yeah, well, there's several things. And the first one, to come back to what I was saying earlier, is the fact that nothing works in isolation. And sometimes it can be, even for a practitioner, it can be a bit overwhelming when you have more than 1,000 biomarkers to go through from different tests, and they're all like sort of paper type report, and you need to connect the dots, right? So we've done that. We've done that, and that's a big help for any practitioner. And also too often, when you're not with your patient outside of the practice, the patient doesn't get the support needed to address this on almost at every touch point of what they do. If it's acute condition, in terms of managing some sort of, illness or degenerative diseases or anything that can be sort of managed with the symptoms. It's quite good to have something that is simplified, and then you can sort of push notification and push things in terms of cards, things to do, right? And also it's this actionable advice that you have at your within your hands, the live support through messaging, being booked, book a professional, having a secure platform where you can share those data, and also access to the raw data, because that's something we do, and we have a very strong position about this, about data ownership, in the sense that every users will have access to their data, their raw data, and they can share that with a practitioner. So if you choose to work with a practitioner, and we advise to, if things are a bit clinical, right? So if we're talking about things like leaky gut, and you already have symptoms that might shows that, I don't know, you're going down the line of autoimmune diseases or this sort of thing. Well, you want the help of a practitioner, because on top of us helping you, on a sort of 24/7 sort of thing, you still need the human interaction, right? Use AI and all these things. I think the human interaction, is very important, because we are emotional being, and even if you being tell what to do, you're maybe not going to do it, and you start doing it if you are accountable for someone, and I think it's very important. But if both of you, the practitioner and the patient, I would say, have a clear path, and also have a sort of clear, things to do, things to avoid, things to take if there is supplementation, and the basic are respected, because obviously supplementation is after the basics. And also, the practitioner then can really dig out even further and offer the support as well of, if there is other tests that we don't offer yet, that might be also helpful. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And so this sort of thing.
Do you guys have, is there a blood chemistry panel in it as well?
Not yet. No, we don't. We actually don't do blood. So the different tests that we do for now, we have the equivalent of, so the genetic test, obviously. Then we have the element test, which is basically looking at all your nutrients deficiencies, and also your toxic ratio, all these sort of things. We have the organic acids, okay, which looks at more than 76, I think, different biomarkers, and also the toxic, the environmental pollutants, things like car toxin, food, plastic, you can have. So all the things that could affect your well-being, and you don't know where the source come from. And my story with this is very funny, because, I mean, it's not that funny, but when I've done my organic acids, I knew, living in London, and knowing that my genes are not optimal, and I haven't done an organic acid for a long time. So our test, which is called the envirotoxin, look at all those pollutants, right? And I look into it, and when it comes to car toxin, and I knew, at the time I was actually living near the North Circular, and I was in disgust every night coming back home, like, the smell, you just cannot breathe. And it's just like, these car fumes straight in the face. Anyway, so, and I probably was living less than a kilometer away from that. And I always knew there was something going on there with some brain fog, but too busy to look into it. And looking at that, anyway, my car fumes within the platform, when we started modeling things and have visual, I remember the first visual we had to look at the car fumes, and the ratio was between 200 and 500. I was on 1,927. So basically, I broke the first visual with my ratio. Way too high. Like, okay, well, we might do something for people like me. And then looking into my glutathione, which is in the same test. So, which what I need to remove. Already I have what we call a GTS SM1, deletion. So I know that my body ability to detox is not optimal from my
I'm the
genes.
same. Yes, I have the same thing.
The amount of glutathione available is already running low. And anyway, within our platform, between 2 and 5 is the normal range. I was at 0.4. So not only I was like way too high on the worst car toxin, and then the glutathione was completely depleted. But seeing this, I actually react. And also at the time, my partner was already pregnant, and I was thinking, there's no way my baby comes in there. So, and it really sped up, like I think 3 months after that, we moved to a new place.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is really, when we have the data black and white on a piece of paper or on an app, even better, our choices are just getting informed in such a quick way.
But that's a big thing. Like, if you're just being told something, yes, but when you're seeing your own thing, and you then connect the dots, and on top of that, we make the connection and tell you, then you have created a relationship with your own biology, and you cannot really escape, because otherwise you're just lying to yourself. And it's very powerful to get you back in every time, in terms of, okay, I need to make those changes. I need to do that. Like, what are you doing here? This is not the right thing for you. Yeah, and across all the tests, I had all the issues. Like the element test, for example, we look at mercury level, and I've got a mercury filling. I have to remove. I know it's many years I have to remove it. Like, but again,
I have the perfect dentist for you for this stuff. We have to talk about it later.
Yeah, definitely.
I had a chronic infection in my front tooth up in the jaw from a root canal treatment. And that was one of the last big root causes that I got rid of to really get symptom-free for my Hashimotos.
Yeah.
I had a very nasty
microbiome, definitely.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And you know, it's one big thing as well, like, you know, this and when I look right now, like, I'm really every day thinking I need to book every time, like, right now, because of the situation I'm not back in the UK. I had to escape last minute because my family was here in Spain and was not coming back, and I had to come here. But now, when I'm back in the UK, is the first thing I do, because I see on my ratio is affecting my potassium level. It's affecting, I'm depleted of iron. So all these ratios are wrong, and that's not good. So my score actually, for the founder of this company, is not very good, my wellness score on nutrition, just because of those toxic ratios. I need to sort this out.
Fantastic.
Anyway, you know, there's many ways of other things. So, you know, if we look at other type of tests we do, our hormone test, which is for Practitioner, is the Dutch Plus. You know, you can get some amazing insight as well here about estrogen dominance. Some people that are type A personality and they don't realize they are stressed, or because of certain genetic variant they don't feel the stress, but actually your body is very stressed right now. So it's good to have this, you know, and in the long term you burn out, and that's typical type A personality of executive type of people, because they're just, you know, narrow-minded into doing what they do, and then they burn out suddenly. But if you look at that earlier, well, here you're showing all the sign of your body, you know, burning out completely, and you need to do something now about it before it becomes a real problem.
Yes.
Where it's
yes.
not complicated to come back from.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and also, you know, the microbiome tests we do with all the different pathogens, and look at all those different things. We will be adding more tests. We already have a few in the pipeline, but I won't say anything.
Amazing. So it's like the back end of Omnos is like an artificial intelligence that is connecting all the different dots. Yeah. And the name Omnos, what was the inspiration? Does it come from like a term from Greek, or?
Well, the omnis means everything. So, and Omnos sounded better than omnis.
Yes.
So yeah, that's the idea, so to speak. And there is a Greek sort of like rock band or something. I think they are Greek, or like Gaelic or something.
Yes, very nice.
So
yeah, let's get a little bit into the practical side of things, because the show is called Hacking Health Live. So for example, I have Hashimotos, an autoimmune disease. So how can Omnos help a patient with an autoimmune disease like Hashimoto's? I mean, you touched already on a lot of things, but how about the genetics, and then in relationships to, you know, all the other factors that are coming in?
Oh, if you look at things like Hashimoto, it again is autoimmune disease. There's not one cause, right? It's always multifactorial. So again, the fact that you have a broader picture and user-friendly way that is just a dashboard looking at all those ratios that are imbalanced, things that are important for Hashimoto, like if you understand that you're inulin from your gut, you know, you've got leaky guts, you know, that your all the things that could lead to leaky gut, the parasites, all those things, right? So looking at deficiencies like selenium, vitamin D, that's also very important. So all those things you need to be on top of, and testing regularly will help you want to be on top of it, but also to start seeing also patterns of where those things come from. And if you link to the genetic, yeah, you might be predisposed to you know, VDR, not absorbing vitamin D properly from the sun, or you might have the same with selenium, or you might have other deficiencies, you know, issues with immunity response. So you have a more acute immunity response under stress, or, you know, there's all those different things. And again, immunity is also just like genetic, it's very personalized. So you need to understand yours, and you can do that as well within the platform. And I think it's not a diagnostic tool, and I want to say that. And this is why when you have conditions, you should always seek help of a professional. And we will have, professional on our platform, but, you can see. But clearing out already and seeing it, what are the imbalances, and then seeking professional help to correct those. Even though we give you the recommendation on things to do, things to avoid, or people to see, or things to take, right? Again, supplementation. But those should be the things you should do anyway. But then you should go a bit deeper in looking at the bigger picture of your practitioner. And I think this is why we'll be quite strong in recommending practitioner through our platform for our corporate clients that we have, or this type A personality we looked at, who just want to actually, I don't know, give me those supplements and shove it in the morning, but that's not working this way, right? You need to sort all the other things first. You need to sort out your lifestyle, your way to work out, you don't have the right amount of sleep, the right lifestyle, instead of managing your stress, your recovery, and all those things count, and you can track all of those things, and you can plug them into your platform, and then the phenotype, and then also looking at all the genetic aspects, and all the things that you do as well on a daily basis. I've got those bands and stuff, like my HRV now is not doing very well because I'm stressed with the launch, good stress, but I can see it impact me, right? So then I'm re-implemented like things like yoga and meditation, even if I don't have much time lately, but I have to, and spending quality time with my son, and all those things are very important. And then suddenly you can see all those things changing and coming back to normal. And if you have symptoms of any things, they start to disappear because you've sorted out the things around them. And yeah, it's this multifactorial approach again that is very important.
Yes. So, but it's really great to hear. So you're not disrupting at all the job description of doctor.
No, of course not. I think that there's different angle to this. Like, doctors are professionals that are here to help you, to reach your. I mean, it depends what type of doctor, whether you
Yes.
IQ, right? But we're talking about functional medicine practitioner here. We want to help them to have a better, a place where they can put everything in one side, help managing their clients, their patient, connect the dots between everything, and also potentially, have always this live support, creating content with them to educate people, to democratize, health optimization, which I think is one of our things we want to do. So we want to invite practitioners to come to with us on the platform, whatever content they have, to share it, and if people are specialized in thyroids, for example, or Hashimoto, or then when we see those symptoms coming up, and this is content from ex professional, we can talk to them, right? Because we know already you have all those things.
Amazing. So in terms of the biohacking sphere, what's your feedback so far on this stuff, Thomas?
Biohacking sphere, loving it because they can track everything.
Your microphone, Thomas, is switched off. Yes.
Sorry. I didn't say to the people listening here, but I'm actually in a shade in the countryside, and turned into an office. So sorry.
I think we're doing quite well for that, actually. It's quite amazing. So
yeah.
So the biohackers, what do they tell you?
Well, they love the fact that everything can be trackable, traceable. They can measure and improve, and retest and check the difference, and being told that, okay, what they have done for the future, for example, we will be able to say, okay, to show patterns, because more than artificial intelligence, once we have consequent number, there's the whole machine learning aspect of things where you're able then to have recognized patterns as like, okay, yes, so doing this and this, and it's all the, it's almost the genesis of biohacker is to test, try, and see what works. And that will be an exciting platform for that, because we will be able to conduct sort of like, centralized research almost within the platform, which are not made, again, decentralized from institution for research, but more made by the people for the people. This is the way I see it.
That's an amazing vision.
And yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah.
Incredible. So, Thomas, we're coming close to the end of the interview. What are your top 3 biohacks for brain performance?
Brain performance, sleep has to be. Right? So there's no condition. I mean, if you don't sleep enough, your brain is not going to function, like many other things anyway. We're just wired this way, and people tend to go around that, but that's not working long term. What I also do is meditating lately helped me a lot in terms of focusing, and I feel in terms of brain performance, it massively it avoids me to lose a lot of brain power, if you wish. So when I'm focused on something, and meditation helped me a lot for that.
What particular style of meditation? Is there something you can recommend?
For me, it's more like, I like to be outside, ideally, and listen to what's going on outside, but really disconnect. And I'm lucky enough right now, for example, to be near the ocean. There's wind, it's spring, it smells good, there's birds, there's, a lot of things. It's the countryside, there are cows. And so I listen to all those things, completely disconnecting.
So you're dropping really into your central experience, you're connecting and opening up all your senses to be 100% present in the moment.
Yeah, and I try to do that as well when I play with my son. Like, I'm turning into a 2-year-old baby, having fun, but the whole experience is amazing, because yes, it really helped me to disconnect and connect with my child. And when you're super busy, it's super important thing to do is to allow yourself 5 minutes before straight away going to see my son, for example, to sort of recalibrate, because then I'm bringing my hyper usual self, that's been running a bit too much coffee on the day, this sort of thing. So I try to disconnect and then do that. Red lights as well, sometimes when I feel that there's...
So that's number 3 then, red light.
That's my red light. Number 3, I would say nutrition has to be, nutrition is super important, obviously. So the good type of brain food, obviously, are very important. And some little hack that I have as well is obviously some supplements that I use, like I've discovered lately GPL, which is like a really good natural sort of like it's very sweet as well. Put under the tongue. We have it on our platform.
DGL.
GPL, and we actually recommend it for when you have brain fog or issues. It is quite interesting.
The deglyceride licorice, right?
Yes.
Awesome stuff. Okay, last question. Where do you see Omnos will add like incredible value in the healthcare sector in the future? What do you think is what's the sky's the limit?
The sky's the limit. But we also had a very, very exciting time where things are accelerating very fast in terms of technology, when you talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these sort of things. And I think what artificial intelligence do in terms of helping creating algorithm, connecting the dots. Machine learning help to, you know, it's machine learning. I like to compare it as a bit, you know, if it's very foggy in the morning, and when the fog starts dissipating, you start seeing everything, all the details, and it's exactly what it does. And I think thanks to all those things combined, we could learn a lot about how we could function, because there's still a lot to discover. You just have to look at, you know, the map of metabolism. If you Google it, if you find it, there's so many things to take in consideration. So obviously, you know, there's a lot that we can learn to then use and reshape, and again, democratize for people to use and implement to optimize their health. And I think that's the main thing, is really to democratizing the whole science behind health, which is very important, but also keep learning altogether. And the more people we have to do that, the better. And that will going to be very interesting, because I don't know, I think many people will share that, but we're in 2020, I found it almost crazy that we still die of things that can be preventable, mostly. You know, we're looking at the 4 big killers, for example, you know, dementia, type 2 diabetes, heart wellness, and you know, also cancer. You know, we need to get on top of those things, and we keep being stubborn at trying to go one cause, one disease. But no, we need to stop with this and be a bit less stubborn and try to look at the whole picture, how multifactorial it is, and use new technology that we have now that are amazing to help us doing that, and to have it all centralized, and also not kept somewhere in a silo behind a big institution. And then when you try to understand, it's just a whole different language. You know, you need to disalienate all those things. So to decentralize, democratize, and then keep researching and feeding to improve, you know, the population every day's life, and, you know, hopefully having, you know, something, a tool that on a daily basis in real time could intervene at the right time. I don't think it's impossible to do that within 5 to 10 years, because the technology will be there, right? So you could wake up in the morning and you go into your bathroom, your smart mirror connected to your Omnosme platform, and all your Oura ring and all these things, and will tell you, well, you know, your body temperature has risen, you have this, you might have a bug, and now that just the sample you give us now tells us that actually, yes, you have some sort of parasite.
Incredible.
So you stay home today. You know, but I think that will be how, you know, we'll be using these sort of things in the future. Even going shopping, for the shopping list that we have, the food list that we have is very interesting, because it tells you exactly why you should, it's a reverse engineer why you should take this and not this. So if you go, for example, look at soya, I heard not long ago, I was very annoyed about this, because again, the mainstream throw things at you. Okay, well, you need to eat soya for your immunity, but first, it's a very rich histamine type of food, so it's not maybe the best. But then it's not for everybody. If you have bad guts, it's not going to work.
Yes.
And actually, the platform will have a scoring for this thing, for this good. So if you have all those high histamine foods, if you have problem parasite in your gut, if you have already symptoms of issues, well, soya, when you go shopping, is a 20% for you. But, you know, go and get this 100% dark chocolate, because you're deficient in magnesium, and that's a 95% score for you. But that's the idea anyway. So this is what the potential power of those things, if you do things well, and obviously if you apply all those different features. And then you have the whole game of, you know, investment and all these things that comes into play. So yeah, there's a difference between the vision and what you can implement.
Yes, fantastic. Thomas, thank you so much for your time. That has been very, very interesting.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I would like to open up the microphone if some people have questions. We have Trevor here and Kath, and please join in, guys.
I have a question.
Natasha, go first.
Hi. Hi. Thank you so much for this interview and your time. I'm really excited about this platform. Like, I've worked with Matt 5 years ago. He really helped me out when my health just suddenly dived, and working with him, I just got like a bigger picture, you know, about health, and like he helped me what you talked about, like clearing the fog. So just to gain an understanding like how things are interconnected, and also to relieve a massive frustration I was feeling with the doctors, you know. For example, like when I come to the doctor and my doctor tells me, oh, but you know, in women like your age, generally a fever up to 38 degrees is actually considered normal. And I'm like, just because you have a large statistic, this is what it seems that they're doing, because if there is a large statistic of people having a fever, then they're making it like normalized, instead of saying that actually a lot of people are probably experiencing inflammation.
Exactly.
My question is maybe more on the practical side, like a kind of a hands-on experience of the platform and the app, in a way of like the interface, and like how everything works. So like you mentioned having the ring, so there would need to be kind of a device, right, that measures your on a regular.
So the ring is I was talking about the Oura ring that you probably know that brand, which is tracking your sleep. So your
yes, yeah.
But you'll be able to connect all those devices into, you know, the platform. And then, because it's a lot more data, because they do that very well, we want to connect those data, so it's even more enriching the experience, and also giving more data for us to be even more granulate about what we will give you in terms of recommendations. Yeah.
Okay, and the second,
the platform. So yeah, the platform, to answer your question, is quite easy in the sense that you don't need anything about that during the test at home. If you really want to have the whole picture, and you can already go right now on omnos.me, create an account, and do just the self-assessment, which already give you a great value of insights and already recommendation. And all of this is free.
I'll put the link in the chat, actually, Thomas.
Okay, wow, thank you so much. And the second question is, like, will it have also, I'm sorry if this was covered, that maybe I just like missed it. In terms of like kind of helping to get educated, you know, like me, as I'm very novel to this whole biohacking like experience and practice.
I will help you with this.
Like, I mean, in terms of like how much information will the platform provide as a kind of useful articles and
yes,
you
so
know, informative.
It's a very good question, because we really want to be hands-on on education. We already have something what we call the Omnos Academy. That's one thing that we will do for non-practitioner, and then the Omnos Pro Academy, which is for practitioner who wants to learn further into the test and protocols and things like that. But what we will do definitely already on the platform is we tag, if you wish. So let's say if you have, I don't know, something to do with, or you do a test like an hormone test, and you have something to do with estrogen dominance or something like that. What is this, right? So we already described what this means. But on top of that, if you sort of scroll down, you'll have articles or even video of practitioners explaining a bit more in details what those things are, and then attached with all the recommendation. So that really you can go into one area that is specific to you and really learn everything about it in one place. So you're again, because it's all about, you know, being sort of getting the knowledge So then you can sort of, we plan for you in a sense, but we give you recommendation. But then you can also be really engaged into it, and you know what you're doing. So then you're a lot more engaged, right? If you learn something new, it's hard at the beginning, but once you start knowing it, it's like, okay, now I'm on it. And then you start preventing things to happen, and yeah.
Thank
I hope
you.
you have a question.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thomas, my questions are quite similar to Natasha's regarding practitioner training.
Yeah.
Is that all going to be on your online space, and what's the kind of, is it a certified process or?
Yeah, so the training, we have 2 levels. So the non-professional, which will be online only, and that is no accreditation. However, we are in a process of having the accreditation for the pro training, with all the accurate, everything, basically. So we submitted all this, and we will hoping to, probably end September, by the end of Q3, let's say, Q4, having this available, and will be an online version, and then it's all the course where you can learn about all the different tests, but also going in more depth, in the whole process, really.
Okay, and
hope it helps.
I know, fantastic, thank you. Your definition of health. If I ask you, how would you describe health? What would you say?
It's a big one, but my definition of health, I would say it's about being happy yourself, but also making people around you happy. If you reach that, I think you're quite healthy with yourself. You have all the things, in place, I would say. That's the simple version. And then obviously the real version is making sure you have everything within ranges or optimal.
Sorry, and then just one more question. I find that, especially in the functional medicine space, we kind of, a lot of functional medicine practitioners become too allopathic. So in a sense, we try and be global, but we end up treating, instead of using a pharmaceutical pill, we end up using a supplement. So we end up treating the test, in a sense. Does that make sense? So
makes sense. And I think there's a whole responsibility here, if you create a platform like this one, or to put things back in order in a way. And I hear you here. I think you cannot expect people to shovel tons of supplements, especially if the basics are not done first. And then, even though we have supplements on the platform, there are supplements, as the name mentioned it. There's a lot of things you can use as natural supplements, mushrooms, for example. I was talking to someone today who had mushroom and seaweed on their office, and I could see, it's like, oh, that's your supplements. And yes, it was. So this is what I mean by that, is, it's do those things first and then get the supplements to top up. And I think so, yeah, I agree with that. And that's, I think, a responsibility to also part of the whole education aspect of things, of learning on how you can do that. And maybe find practitioners that actually could make a video about this and share their experience on how they minimize supplements to natural supplements, through natural food, which our body is a lot more intelligent to process anyway. And there's a lot of things we still don't get yet, but the real biochemistry within a real thing is a lot more powerful than the supplements we have made. Even though we are doing really well now, but still.
Thank you
so much.
With us.
Thomas, I have one more question here. Is Omnos available outside of the UK? If so, what countries?
Everywhere except the US for now, in terms of the test, because legislation, tax,
Right.
it's a bit complex.
Understand.
Yeah, but you know, it's just for now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Anybody else, guys? Kath?
Hello. So you've got my video stopped at the minute. I haven't really got any questions, just to say it's a privilege just to sit and hear Thomas talk and the journey that he's been on. And yeah. Oh,
Thank you, Kath.
There you are.
Yeah, it's been lovely watching obviously Thomas's journey, and I'm just thinking about, should I now add on more training, or shall I just leave that? No more.
I feel like all the passionate people like keep learning.
Yeah, it's the sign of a good practitioner, apparently.
Yeah. You came to the academy. You came to one of the first academy, I remember.
Yeah, I think I did GenSmart twice.
Yes, exactly, twice. There we go.
Guys, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you all for joining. Kath, Trevor, Natasha, and Thomas, big thank you for you to take the time to do this with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.